Where's the video of the Chinese brands exposing the watch industry? Where is that? I've seen movies.
Got you right here. This is a CF Rolex I got from Shenzhen for only 120 USD, and it still ticks. Everything is perfect.
Watches come in different sizes. A small dial makes you always slimmer, while a large one makes you a stronger error. First of all, you need to determine your budget range. The bullet data just is the best choice for cost effective.
Explosive claims are surfacing about Rolex, the iconic Swiss luxury watchmaker. According to multiple sources, parts, and in some cases, entire watches, are allegedly being manufactured in China. Yes, Rolex. The same brand people spend $10,000, $20,000, or even more to wear on their wrists. In this video, I'll show you leaked factory footage, insider testimonies, and shocking revelations from a fired watch expert who says he lost his job for speaking out. Plus, a veteran dealer reveals how Rolex clones are virtually identical to the real thing, and why some say there's no difference at all. You don't want to miss this. Let's dive in.
做成了基本程序。你这是哪个程序？车床上哪个程序要标的？哦，表格。直接从你这个程序弄。
For years, Rolex was more than just a watch. It was a symbol of timeless Swiss craftsmanship, passed down through generations. The brand sold millions, building a global empire on its reputation for precision and exclusivity. But now, that carefully crafted image is beginning to crack. Leaked footage from inside factories in China shows what appears to be Rolex production happening far from Swiss soil. Workers are seen filming rows of watch components being assembled in bulk. Clear, visual proof that the story of a fully handmade Swiss masterpiece may not be the whole truth. Most people believe that Swiss-made means the entire watch is built in Switzerland. But behind the dial, the reality is much more complicated.
打包之后好漂亮哦。半成品的表带。哦，磨了之后它就不会擦手了。
In places like Shenzhen, factories are producing cases, dials, movements, entire watch components on a massive industrial scale. These parts are then shipped to Switzerland, assembled, stamped Swiss-made, and sold for thousands. That $20,000, Rolex? It might have been built in the very same facility as a $200 replica. The real difference isn't in the craftsmanship, it's in the branding.
Are Swiss watches really made in China? I went to Shenzhen to find out. It's the epicenter of Chinese watch manufacturing, and according to this one expert,
TeaScene make about 4 million watches a year, 300 watchmakers in Switzerland. Do the math.
there's compelling evidence that Swiss-made on the dial doesn't mean the watch was made or constructed in Switzerland. When I did find the higher quality knockoffs, they all pointed me in the direction of one particular factory. Unfortunately, they wouldn't let me film inside, but I can tell you the quality was very high. Certainly, lots of micro brands manufacture in Shenzhen, as well as lots of big brands.
It's estimated that over 90% of the world's watch production, luxury or not, passes through Shenzhen at some stage. The big brands know it. In fact, they've quietly relied on it for decades. They just never talked about it. For years, these factories operated in total secrecy. No media access, confidential brand contracts. Silence. But now, that silence is breaking. We're seeing real footage, captured by workers themselves, inside the very factories that have supplied parts to some of the biggest names in luxury. And in those videos, there's no denying what's happening. You can clearly see rows of workers assembling watches that bear unmistakable luxury designs.
As soon as you see this video, please don't spend a lot of money on a watch. I am a watch factory from China. Because I can no longer bear that you spend tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy watches, I take the risk of offending all brands to tell you one thing. In fact, watches do not need to be that expensive. I can let you get a big brand watch with 1% of the original
Several
price.
leaked walkthroughs factory workers speak openly about the massive scale of production. Some claim they ship out thousands of units each week, many of which are funneled through private label deals, white label shipments, or sent directly to brand-approved facilities overseas. In some cases, brands even fly in inspectors from Switzerland to sign off on batches before they're boxed and labeled. That way, the official paper trail still ends in Switzerland, even if the watch's journey started in China. But it's no longer just grainy factory footage or anonymous leaks. Now, respected insiders, people who've been deep inside the luxury watch world, are stepping forward and exposing the truth. One of the most damning revelations came from a former Swiss watchmaker known as the watch regulator. He worked for one of the industry's biggest players, the Swatch Group, whose portfolio includes Omega, Tissot, Breguet, Blancpain, and more.
I got fired from Swatch Group today for talking about their products on TikTok. Before we get into the reasons why I was fired, just for the people who don't know, Swatch Group is a large Swiss watch group that comprises brands like Omega, Longines, Tissot, Breguet, Blancpain, Rado, Hamilton, and of course Swatch. One of the reasons that I got fired was for this video where I talk about how Swiss watch brands say they service your watch, but actually just swap out the movement for a new one. And that was classified as a breach of company confidentiality. Oh, and also, how could I forget when I talked about how Omega parts for watches weren't made in Switzerland, but were instead made in China. That's probably a big one.
He confirmed what many had only suspected. Major components, cases, dials, even the hands, are often made in China. And it doesn't stop there. Even diamond-studded elements on watches marketed as high-end luxury often come from Asian suppliers. In one shocking moment, he recalled replacing parts on an expensive gold watch, only to discover that nearly every component had been
more quality.
Oh, the quality of the knockup is becoming crazy. They've been replicating the cards, even the cards, the paperwork for the watches. They've been doing it. It's scary.
Rolex mostly?
Rolex, Richard Mille, like anything, just name it. You'll see it.
He also breaks down the meaning behind the Swiss-made label, and it's not what most people think. According to Swiss law, a watch can carry the Swiss-made stamp as long as 60% of its production cost occurs in Switzerland. But that cost includes things like design, administration, and even marketing, elements that have nothing to do with actual watchmaking. In practice, this means a watch could be 80% manufactured in China, then flown to Geneva, where a technician screws on the case back. And, just like that, it qualifies as Swiss-made. And this isn't speculation. He's shown the paperwork, the sourcing details, and the legal loopholes. He says it's been happening since at least the 1970s. Then, just when things couldn't get more alarming, a veteran watch dealer with 15 years in the industry drops a bombshell. Modern counterfeit Rolexes, especially models like the Datejust and stainless steel Daytona, are now so precise that even certified watchmakers are being fooled.
Are Rolex watches made in China? So what I know to be true, and having seen with my own beady little eyes while working at Swatch Group, who own, is that they have bracelets, dials, cases, hands, movement components, all made in China. I've seen the packaging for them, I've seen the country of origin stamped on them, I know that to be true. Rolex mass-produced watches are the best mass-produced watches you can get. They make, 1.2 to 1.5 million watches a year. They're not made by hand. They're made on a production line. They do machine pretty much everything. There's no hand finishing. It doesn't take them a year to make a watch. They're the best mass-produced watch. They're the Toyota Corolla of watches.
He also breaks down the meaning behind the Swiss-made label, and it's not what most people think. According to Swiss law, a watch can carry the Swiss-made stamp as long as 60% of its production cost occurs in Switzerland. But that cost includes things like design, administration, and even marketing, elements that have nothing to do with actual watchmaking. In practice, this means a watch could be 80% manufactured in China, then flown to Geneva where a technician screws on the case back. And, just like that, it qualifies as Swiss-made. And this isn't speculation. He's shown the paperwork, the sourcing details, and the legal loopholes. He says it's been happening since at least the 1970s. Then, just when things couldn't get more alarming, a veteran watch dealer with 15 years in the industry drops a bombshell. Modern counterfeit Rolexes, especially models like the Datejust and stainless steel Daytona, are now so precise that even certified watchmakers are being fooled. The materials, the movements, the detailing, everything checks out. One counterfeit Rolex even passed inspection by 2 certified experts. It wasn't flagged until much later, after it had already been resold. But this story isn't just about the watches. These replicas come with everything: NFC cards, warranty booklets, branded boxes, instruction manuals, microfiber cloths, even internal chips that scan directly to Rolex's official website. Every piece of the ownership experience is duplicated to perfection. And here's why. The people making these so-called fakes, they're often the same workers using the same tools in the same factories that produce components for authentic Rolexes. When a legitimate production run ends, the machines don't stop. Another batch begins, same specs, same parts, just without the Rolex logo. One shipment gets the Rolex stamp and a flight to Geneva. The other hits the replica market. The same watch, different destination. And these are the exact watches now being sold by Chinese manufacturers on TikTok. Virtually identical, at a fraction of the price. Something happened that Rolex swore would never happen. Something that shakes the brand to its core. They've lowered their prices. These aren't holiday promos or temporary markdowns. These are permanent price cuts. For a company that spent over a century crafting an image of exclusivity and unshakable value, this is a seismic shift. And it comes in the wake of a viral storm: factory footage, leaked documents, and whistleblower testimony revealing that high-end watches, including Rolex, share supply chains with far cheaper brands. When consumers saw watches built in the same factories, using the same machinery by the same hands, the illusion shattered. Suddenly, that $15,000 timepiece doesn't look all that different from a $200 clone. And once people see that, price becomes harder, if not impossible, to justify. Collectors are already reacting. Resale value is being questioned. Resellers are reporting slower turnover. Gray market prices are dropping. Inventories are backing up. Rolex's price cuts aren't a show of goodwill. They're a defensive move, an attempt to reassert value, before the market does it for them. Because if consumers start to view Rolex as overpriced rather than prestigious, future demand collapses. Reducing prices gives the brand a chance to regain some narrative control. For years, luxury brands thrived by keeping consumers in the dark. Marketing created distance. Packaging created mystique. Swiss-made created comfort, but the internet eliminated all of that, overnight. Now anyone can see what used to be hidden: shared supply chains, overlapping production lines, and extensive Chinese manufacturing involvement. And that exposure is destabilizing the entire luxury watch industry. Brands built on Swiss identity, on hand-assembled movements, on artisanal details, are now revealed to be participating in industrial-scale production. When consumers see the same machines, same parts, and same workers producing both a $200 knockoff and a $15,000 timepiece, the myth of exclusivity disappears. Collectors are responding fast. Many are already offloading their pieces while resale value still holds. Watches once viewed as investments are now seen as liabilities. Dealers are sitting on stock that used to move in hours. Now it's just sitting. The shift is happening rapidly, and no brand is immune. This isn't just about Rolex. The same Shenzhen facilities produce parts, or even complete watches, for multiple luxury brands. Those still claiming to be pure Swiss operations? They've gone silent, delaying launches, cutting back marketing, distancing themselves from the conversation. But silence doesn't rebuild trust. And with factory footage, supplier documents, and first-hand testimony spreading daily, the damage is done. The old era of luxury watchmaking is over. What comes next will look very different. Brands that adapt, those that choose transparency and focus on real craftsmanship, may survive. Some may even thrive. But the ones still hiding behind slogans, secrecy, and symbolism, they're on borrowed time. If you own a Rolex today, it still means something. The name still carries weight. But this may be the last generation where that's true. Because once a luxury brand is revealed to be mass-produced, the meaning behind the brand doesn't just fade, it vanishes. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next one.